thing, physical, like a physical illness or impairment, um, being held back in school. So we're talking about generally being very different than the normal teenager. Do any of those stand out to you? These are often very negative
Um,
to start.
yeah, one time, I used to get very sick when I was younger in elementary school. So I was going to almost be held back a year. Like I wasn't in the hospital or anything. I used to just get the flu and I would have the flu for maybe like 2 weeks and stuff. That's why.
You're just out of school a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So maybe we can say ideas here would be like moving from California, um, and then being sick
Yeah.
a lot.
And when I came to Arizona, I didn't get as sick as I used to basically. So,
Yeah, that could be
which is
related. That could be worked in together. Okay. All right. Reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. So this could be like personal, like maybe you had doubt about yourself in some area.
mhm.
Um, these don't have to be as negative. They can be could be like school play, talent competition, sport, I don't know, weight loss, um, weight gain. I mean, I guess that could be in there too. Um, but typically it's more of like this is the way things have always been.
Mhm.
So, for example, like maybe your family always um has a fake Christmas tree. This is not a good example, but that would just throw us a fake Christmas tree, and you say, "Hey, why don't we get a real Christmas tree this year?"
It's so funny because we used to use real Christmas trees and now we have a fake one.
Okay, that's kind of a silly example. Um, it they're these are depending on how much, what's the right word here, conflict you've seen in your life, you may not have needed to challenge ideas or beliefs. Um, like I said, typically it's like going. You could think of it as going against the grain.
Going against the grain.
Yeah. So if you go with the grain, it's very smooth. Going against the grain, it's like going in the wrong. You're up, up, up an escalator, going down, um, going backwards on a treadmill. Like you're choosing the harder path,
Yeah.
but you learn something. Swimming against the current. That's what we're trying to say here. Something that you said, no, I'm just not going to do it that way anymore. I'm gonna move my bed on that wall, or why do we always? It just depends on you. Why do we always make ham at Christmas? So I think of these more as like traditions, I guess.
Got
I
it.
would say, things that we're just like, yep, we're not doing it that way anymore. Okay.
Well, I think this prompt the not the third prompt is like something I don't want to write about. Like it's never really sparked
Okay.
my attention.
All right. So describe a problem you've solved or you would like to solve. Okay, so
This reminds
this
me of when we wrote about the marine biology thing, and you asked me the question, if I had so much money, what would I do with it?
yes. So
So yeah,
it could definitely be that, but since you already wrote on that, I don't know if that would be a good choice for this. It might be a
yeah,
different problem. But it's got to be really important to you. You have to be really, you have to show passion. That has to come out. Um, so let's see if I can look for this typical college. That's a
yeah. I don't think the fourth prompt will be a good idea for me
why is that?
because we already wrote about it. I don't want to like repeat the same thing, you know?
But it doesn't have, I mean, that can't, you're suggesting, your answer suggests that that's the only problem you would ever want to solve. And I believe that there would be more than that that you might be wanting to
Solving,
solve.
yeah. All right. Well,
Let
we'll
me,
come
let
back
me,
to this
let me
one.
see if I can find, yeah, I'd like to see if I can find an example, some other examples of this. Uh, so let me put a few words here out. The different ones are hunger, uh, peace, um, anything having to do with the environment, animals is a good one. Uh, things like that. Okay. Number five, discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth, a new understanding of yourself. So this is the more positive version of number two. Usually it's negative, but it's like five is the positive ones. Like I won my first skating competition and then, you know, or I got an A in my, English class and then something happened, meaning you grew intellectually. You were able to do
I think,
something,
and I
have more
mentioned the
confidence.
fact that I won bingo in my class 3 times in a row, earning a lot of extra credit points. Can I mention that?
Pretty limited at first, because it's supposed to like reveal to you something that you didn't know was because bingo is more a game of chance. We're talking about where you did something you've never done before, which is what you're describing, but it has to lead to more exploration. Now, if you all of a sudden were interested in math and you started studying statistics and probability, that's how you could write something like that.
Got it.
It could also be something with the family unit. Doesn't have to just be personal. Family unit stuff is good to write about. Um, something like you said, your family, you went out and fed the homeless, or you guys started, reading every day in the morning, and then you got into reading, or
Right. Mm,
anything coming to mind here?
no, not really.
Okay, well, this is not good. I mean, we really don't have much. I mean,
I think
because you
number three, the one that we did for number three, with like the moving, for example, and stuff. I think we could write about that one since I can talk about that a little bit since I moved 3 years ago to Arizona. Yeah,
all right. How about let's look before we decide on that. Let's look at this one. Describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that you make you lose all track of time.
Oh, I can answer that one. Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology, they make me talk about so much. I can talk about, can I say this? Can I say pop culture? Because I can talk about Taylor Swift for a while too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean these are all possibilities.
Let me
Now,
think, what
um,
else?
when you say it loses all track of time, that's more though when you're like doing, not necessarily talking about it. Like and I would think more of like figure skating or something like you're like, wow, really like our lessons when they're over, you're probably like, man, that was the longest hour of my life. Whereas, if you're out skating, you're probably like, oh, really? It's already over, and you just can't believe
Yeah,
how.
that too.
So that's what they're kind of leading you to here. Some people can like put together a puzzle and they look up and 10 hours have passed and they're like, wow, you can't believe where did it go? Basically, this is where you lose the desire to interact with technology, we can say. You just totally disconnect. Um, like when you're sleeping is about the only time this happens for people, but you can't do that. Where you're not like trying to get to the next thing
Yeah.
and so on.
I think 6 and 3 are the two topics that I can discuss about the most because no, sorry, not 3. I'm sorry, 2 and 6. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that one.
All right, so let's dig a little deeper. You're talking about this idea of, the obstacle is being sick a lot, moving away from your friends. But now let's kind of talk about, well, how did that make you more successful? What did that lead to for you?
Well, when I moved, it led me to figure skating and helped me realize that I actually was good in school because before that, I was only a straight C student, but when I went to this new school for a little bit before I was homeschooled, I was getting B's and A's, and I only failed 2 classes.
Okay, that
Just
sounds
made me
pretty
realize
good.
I was doubting myself and my abilities sometimes, you know?
Hmm. All right, so how did it affect you? So let's talk a little bit about the move first. Or let's talk about, we got to talk about it in two ways. How did it affect you? Let's look at it from the perspective of, or I'm sorry, the two ideas of being sick and then moving. So tell me how being sick affected you, and then how did moving affect you?
Being sick sucked because um I'll say this later because when I was in elementary school and I would usually get like colds and flus that would that or stomach or like stomach sicknesses, and they would make me uncomfortable. I would have like bad fevers, not like severe, but I couldn't go to school for maybe 2 weeks because my immune system was awful.
Okay.
So,
So
and the
that's the
reason
physical. How did it affect you emotionally?
I was sad, but also I was happy I didn't have to go to school because I was also struggling in school. Um, but I did miss my friends, and I knew that like it would, and I knew that I would be behind on like so much work. But like, what could I do? I couldn't go to school like sick, you know?
Okay. Um, Moving, how did moving affect you?
Oh, I was The moment my parents told me we were moving, I was shocked. I was upset. I was heartbroken. And I was kind of mad, but I didn't. My mom tells me that when she told me we had to move, I wasn't like yelling at her and stuff. I was like, oh, just sadly walked to my room after that. And my we moved in the summer, so that was not the best decision of her life, I'm gonna be honest, but yeah.
Why is that? Why was moving in
Be
the summer bad?
well, it wasn't not because I was on summer break or whatever. It's because in Arizona it was boiling, it was hot. But in the end, like my mom surprised me with a little party and all my friends came to say goodbye to me, so that was really nice. Hmm.
Okay. Now what did you kind of addressed both of these, but I guess we have to let me just kind of reemphasize it here. What did what did being sick, I mean, what did you learn from being sick?
That when it happens, you're just going to have to you're gonna be upset because number one, you're weak and you can't do anything. But there's sometimes the good and the bad of being sick. Like you don't have to worry about a lot of things. You have to worry on yourself, like to recover and get stronger.
All right. And what'd you learn from moving?
That sometimes change is a good thing. You're not gonna like it, but sometimes it is a good thing. We California
Why don't we
times,
like change? What's the problem with change?
you're already used to where you live because you grew up in that house. You're used to knowing people. So when you move somewhere else, you're like, oh, I don't know anyone. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go.
Yes, they call it being out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. I would say I miss my friends in California, but we talk and I always visit them when I get the chance. So I'm not as sad as I used to be. Like now I have friends here, so that's fine. And if I didn't move, I never would have known I liked figure skating. So there's that.
Okay. Right. So are you content to write about this topic?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what do you think let me open up a new document. Out of all the stuff you just said, what do you think is the most important or the thesis, the thing that you're going to argue?
Um, that change is a good thing.
Okay. How can you incorporate figure skating into that?
Ooh. Well, I can incorporate it somehow. Well, I mean, when it comes to skating, like everything changes. You're,
No, no, I'm sorry. What I'm trying to get you to do is write a thesis sentence that's more direct
uh-huh.
and specific. Because like, yeah, change is a good thing. I mean, that's a country music song. Um, but like in your case, you're gonna argue that change leads to what? What did change lead you to in your life?
Change led me to figure skating because if I haven't moved, I never would have done the sport.
Okay, so could you maybe try to put a sentence together now that just says that?
Yeah. All right, here's what I wrote.
All right. Okay, that's better. So, okay. Um, so we're gonna do this kind of same way we did before. There's an introduction, there's a body paragraph, there's another body paragraph, and then there's a conclusion. So in each of your body paragraphs, you want to have something that relates back to your thesis. You want a topic sentence that you can incorporate. So um, you might out of all the things you just wrote, let me go back and look at that list. Let me see if I can help you organize this. Um, we want to talk about we want to talk about the struggle of being sick, and then the decision to move. Okay,
Got it.
that's kind of going to be our first body paragraph. The second one um, we'll talk about well, maybe we can do uh, we really like each body paragraph to be like what you learn, how things are better, but we're gonna have to um so is there any, let me go look at your list one more time here. Okay, yeah, you've kind of got it here. So figure skating will be the bulk of body paragraph two. Then your improvements in school will be body paragraph three.
Got it.
All right, so the way that we're going to proceed here is I want you to just summarize as much as you can about um, being sick. Basically, this stuff about being sick here. I want you to write some sentences about, it's kind of the who, what, when, why, where. Talk about the who, what, why, when, and where. Who, what, why, who, what, why, when, and where. I already have those all there. All right. Let's talk about those for being sick as much as you can. Is it clear what I'm asking you to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, like the reason why I would be very badly sick is because the school didn't know there was mold in their air vents, and apparently, I guess I got sick because of that. I don't know. Here's what I wrote. I know I have to shorten it, but I just want you to look what I added.
It's a lot easier to shorten than to extend. All right. Do you feel like you answered all of the who, what, when, where, why?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. So one of the things I feel like is missing right off the bat here is how old you were.
Oh, I was like elementary school, but I'm gonna just say 10, no, 12 years
So,
old.
so, it all began around age 10 when I would regularly get sick and stay home from school for up to 2 weeks. So that's me rewriting your first sentence. It all began around age 10, and we should make that when I would regularly get sick and stay home from school for up to 2 weeks. All right, and then we could say, well, what did you have? Well, um,
The flu and sometimes
yeah,
stomach viruses,
right. So we
the
could
stomach
say
flu.
it doesn't. I mean, it being specific is important. It's not that like it doesn't really matter what it is, but you could just say uh, you could say that, and this might go in the introduction as well. You might say something like, no matter how hard I tried, as soon as I would get well, it seemed like only a few days later I would get sick again. I actually there was a guy in kid in my neighborhood growing up, kind of the same deal. I don't remember his name, but I can distinctly remember I'd see him in school and, oh, hey, yeah, I'll call him Alex. Hey, Alex, what's going on? And then I'd see, oh, you want to hang out for school? Sure, we go, we'd play or, there was snow, we go sledding, and then he'd just be gone. He'd be gone for like 2 or 3 weeks and then come back and he'd have all this makeup work to do.
Yeah, that's like the annoying part. Is like it's the kids that when they have like the weak immune systems, they usually will be gone like every single month or so.
My weak immune system was susceptible to regular colds and the flu each season, or every season, we could say. Something like, if we want to say what it was. Now, um, this I really like here. Um, when I would get sick, I would always get upset and cry because
I
it's
didn't
not that
want
you didn't want to get sick, it was the consequences. And why didn't you want to be sick? It's not that you didn't want to be sick.
because I didn't want to deal with the medicine. I'm gonna explain something.
Okay.
I distinctively remember calling my mom when I was at school once because earlier in that day we got a blood draw done. I arrived at school and I was like, Mom, I don't feel well and I shouldn't go. My mom's like, It's okay, you're fine. Later in the day, I'm like, Yeah, no, I'm sick. I tell my teacher, Can I go to the office? I call my mom and I immediately start crying my eyes out. My mom's like, You're sick, aren't you? I'm like, Yeah. Can you come pick me up? She's like, Yeah, I'll be there. And she now knows that, like, she's like, Why do you keep crying when you're sick? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, since I was
Like I
little, I
said,
would always cry.
it got so bad that I would break down and cry when I could feel a sickness coming on.
Yeah. I once remember, I once went to school, well, even though I told my mom to come pick me up once, and this was seventh grade, I think. I went to school once while I was sick, and even though it was a small cold, it developed into a fever. And then I literally spent the whole day sick because the nurse, it was, because the moment we figured out that I had to go home, it was near the end of the day. So then I was like, yes, sorry, you can't stay in here because it's at the end of the day. So I was like, dang it. I go to my mom's car. I'm like, Mom, you shouldn't have sent me to school. And she's like, why? I'm like, feel my forehead. I am sick. And she's like, oh my God, you are. I'm like, yeah, why would I lie? When have you seen me lie about being sick?
This is all really good stuff. And that if you didn't have me to help you formulate this, that's the kind of stuff you would want to write down and try to incorporate into
Yeah.
the essay. Okay. Um, I'm putting
There's
putting all this stuff in the wrong place.
I have so many memories about me coming home and crying because I was sick. There's too many. One time I was 9 and I got a flu from a little weekend school that I went to, and I know I was sick because I nap when I'm sick because I don't take naps in general. So I'm at my cousin's house and I napped for like 2 hours. I get home and I immediately bawl my eyes out on the floor. I'm like, Mom, I'm sick.
So what is it about the medicine that you didn't like?
I didn't like that I would always have to take medicine for, there was medicine for a sore throat. You have to take something for
The
your
medicine's supposed
nose.
to help you. So like
Yeah,
there's something more to it. It's like what is it that
bitter.
you were bitter? Okay,
Yeah,
so
but
explain that a little bit more. Why were you bitter about having to take medicine?
because the medicine usually wouldn't taste good. Sometimes it would, but I just didn't like taking it in general because even though I know it was supposed to help me, I just didn't want to take it. But yeah, also another reason I didn't like being sick was because this is a true story. Apparently, um, when I'm sick sometimes, I can get ear infections as well. So every single time I'm sick, they always have to put something in my ears. Like my parents have to put eardrops to prevent that from happening. They still do, by the way. They still have to put them in because when I was very, very little, I used to get ear infections like so much that they almost had to put a tube in my ear.
So it was like what I'm hearing is that it wasn't the taking the medicine, it was I don't know, sort of like the the negatives of I don't know, like the pain or the hurt, I don't know. There's something
Yeah,
about like you said like eardrops or
yeah,
um I don't want to put words in in your essay, but it like and you say this isn't right, but it almost sounds like you knew you were just like 2 weeks of misery.
yeah. It's like I know when I'm sick, I know I have to deal with it, but at the same time, I don't want to deal with it.
Okay. Um,
Like I don't have to deal with the consequences of my actions.
okay, so being sick often meant having to take bitter medicine, um, overall discomfort, I guess we could say, um, and sometimes led to more severe ailments,
Yeah.
such as ear infections. Okay, so now let's transition, because you kind of let's talk about this. Even though I was stuck at home sick, let's say like the lone bright spot or the only good thing about being sick, that's where I like you seriously, something like that. We want to insert something in here that says like I was happy that I didn't need to go to school, but we need to say why, but why. So this is where I want you to jump in again. Um, like the good news is that I was stuck at home, um, and because I didn't have to go to school, but why? So I want you to kind of put together a sentence here, sort of transition out of that.
Got it. So basically, like the good news is that I didn't like I was stuck at home and like so something like that, right? Like I was happy to stay home, but then I knew that when I would get back to school, I would be like super duper behind in my schoolwork. Something like that, right? Uh, what I what I typed in the chat, would it work?
Even though it was nice to stay home, I knew the moment I would get to school, I would be further behind in my schoolwork since I was gone for so long. Yeah, I like that a lot. Um, so, uh, um, what we now want to say is something about how, um, and yeah, you exactly answered this. I got all this here. We kind of want to answer the question, were you a bad student? And let me finish because it sounds really negative because I'm not implying you're a bad student. Or was being sick keeping you from being a good student?
I think being sick kept me from being what I could have been because when I moved, I was like this the moving is relevant in this situation. When I moved, I started participating more in class because I knew what I was supposed to do and just I was doing better. But when I was in like my old school, my elementary school, I wouldn't participate and my teachers were worried about that. I was a C student because I wasn't doing as well because I was behind in some work, even though I was doing very good. But I don't know, I guess that was the reason.
Okay, so could you put together a sentence or two kind of addressing that, we're kind of closing out this paragraph and moving on to next one, which
So
is
like, so
you're
like,
gonna say
should I,
like I wasn't a bad student, but I was sick all the time, which made it really hard for me, keep up in school or something like that. And talk about how this affected your confidence.
okay.
if you can get something over to me here in the next minute or so. All
Already
right.
sent it.
All right. Good job.
Thank you. I was just thinking about it, like being sick, like took a toll on me.
Yeah. All right. So we'll look at this again next time or whenever we pick back up on English. But that's basically your first body paragraph. And then we'll transition into, moving and figure skating and all that. Um, all right. So we're not scheduled until tomorrow. Well, it is Thursday. Okay, we're scheduled tomorrow at